with liberty and justice for all. Will you please remain standing for a moment of silence for the troops who are over in foreign countries defending our freedom, those who have lost their lives, and those who continue to protect that freedom. Thank you. Okay, first on the agenda is the public hearing for the water rates. Do you have the, there's a local law.
What was it changed to? I don't want to notice so much.
The local law.
When you have
The local law.
how about the one I wrote?
Here, you want this one? Excuse me.
What one do you want?
He wants that one.
Okay.
So I can say what it was.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, as part of the budget process every year, the board has to take a look at the water and sewer rates. There's no change in the authorized sewer rates, so there's no public hearing on that. The water rate, the local law proposes an increase from $2.92 to $3.03 for that portion of over 10 units and less than 71 units. The first 10 units remain a minimum of $35, and the portion over 70 units has increased from $3.34 to $3.47.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing up. Is there anyone who would like to speak? If not, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Local law number 4.
I need a motion for local law number 4.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes, I'd like to point out that part of the increase in the water rate is designed to reduce the water rate debt. Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion's carried. Okay, the next public hearing will be on the budget, which was presented to the village board last Thursday. It is open now to the public for comment. Would anyone like to speak on the budget? Please state your name and address when you come to the microphone.
Jim Genatino, 2 Memorial. I'm not going to go through everything. I sat down with the mayor this morning for about a half hour and went through my suggestions. I'm hopeful that you'll at least take some of them so that we can reduce tax increases in the future years. Also, I have a question. Sewer rates are not being raised?
Terry, you want to?
That's right.
Yeah, they're not being raised.
I thought it was 5.10.
Okay, okay, we should clarify. They're not being raised, it's still within the limitations, am I correct, Tom, of the amount, it's not over the amount where we would have to have a public hearing?
I'll explain it. If I may, the local law last year authorized an amount that was more than was charged. So the rate that may be, the bill that people may get for the same usage, for example, may be an increase, but as I said, the authorized amount has not increased.
So if I remember correctly, this is the first time we've ever done something like that. We've always had a water hearing and a sewer hearing.
Well, you only have to have one if the authorized rate is increasing.
So in other words, the rate was built in last year.
The rate last year was, in the local law, was higher than was actually utilized.
Interesting. Okay, as I go, I had a lot of things to go through, but I hope somebody heard what I had to say.
Thanks, Jim. Yes, I did, and it was good to meet with you this morning, and I am working on all of the things that you have given as suggestions. I thank you for the opportunity to meet with me. Anyone else?
My name's Adam DiStefano. I live at 19 Prairie Avenue. I just have a question. What is the item under sales of property that we think we're going to get $300,000 for?
The 280,000 you're
Yeah,
talking
it's like
about?
roughly.
Okay, that is our build at 120 Orange Avenue. If the Orange Avenue project does get passed and goes through, the sale of the property to the developer will be $280,000. If the Orange Avenue project did not continue, then the building will immediately go up for sale for $280,000 as well. So we built that number into the budget. Either way, the building is going to be sold.
Okay, so either way, we anticipate selling that by the end of the year. Okay. The other thing with the building permits.
Yes.
Are we anticipating Brennan's either one of his projects to go through? Or him to apply for the permits, because that would explain the number more.
Yes, he is part of the permits that are built into that number, correct, Tom?
Yeah, but it's not, we only took a small portion, maybe one room go up,
Right.
and then there's going to be potentially work with the hospital being done.
Yeah, the number makes sense for one and other miscellaneous work.
Right, we didn't do the full value of what the permits would bring in.
Yeah, you did one of his projects, not both. That's
Correct.
what the number, it makes sense looking at that.
Right.
Okay, that's all I had to ask. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Adam. Anyone else? Okay, if not, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Is he coming down?
No, he just came in.
Oh, okay.
May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Does the board want to vote on the budget tonight, or what is your pleasure? Are you all ready?
Well, I'd like to postpone it for a week or so.
What is the latest date? What is the latest
that we
date?
have to have it approved by?
By April 30th.
Oh, so we have time.
Yeah, but you have to meet every night until you pass it.
Well, but I thought that was like after the 15th we had to meet.
Yeah.
No, you have to have a public hearing by the 15th.
As long as,
You have to have a
my
public
only
hearing
thing
by
is,
the
as long as you're working on what Jim's concerns were, then I'm fine with that. I mean,
Okay, so you want to vote or you don't want to vote?
well, do we have to meet every night until we vote?
I thought it was after the 15th.
You have to have a public hearing by the 15th, and then you
Okay.
have to adopt
So-
it by the 30th.
Jack, do you want to meet every night until you're comfortable, or?
No, well, I had to, well, I don't know. Trish, the mayor seemed to want to review Mr. Giannantino's suggestions, and, you know, what we could do is maybe I'm available, maybe Frank's available, Matt, we're around, and we could meet and continue. I don't know that we have to meet each evening. Can't we meet sometime
Okay,
during
so
the...
could we set another public hearing?
Yeah, if you want to have another hearing.
All right, so what we could do is, and that's fine for people, you know what, I don't mind having a second public hearing. The more
Continue the
input we
hearing,
have.
or- yeah.
Yeah, right, I don't mind that.
Mayor.
Okay,
So-
let's get, so if we continue the
I was
hearing-
going to suggest that if you're unsure, you can always vote on the budget and then have a meeting, say, next week, and if you feel something should change, you can amend the budget.
Amend it.
You can amend it.
Okay, that's fine. I have no problem with
I think
that.
that's what we should do,
Okay.
amend it
Okay.
if need be.
Yeah, well,
Is that acceptable, Jack?
well, you know what amendment I'm thinking
Yeah.
about. I'd just assume that be at a public, well...
We could do it one of two ways. We could either have another public hearing on the night that we want to adopt the budget, or we can vote on it and amend it as needed.
Well, maybe
later
we
on.
could rescind, well, we haven't voted on the budget, we just voted to close the hearing. Maybe we could rescind the closure of the public hearing. Change our
Continue.
mind, so to speak, and say that we will continue the public
We have to
hearing.
meet every night then.
you have to meet every
Then we have to meet every night,
Even if it's a continuation of the hearing?
Yes.
yes.
Oh, I
So
see,
we closed it, but we can have another public hearing. We would still have to meet every night?
Yes.
okay.
Oh, all right, so then I guess we'll adopt it, Jack, and then amend it.
And we'll make the amendments public, obviously.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
well,
You
okay.
have to. Absolutely.
Well, then I would like to see us set a meeting for that, because I've been,
Well, we have the public informational meeting that I'm going to announce in a few minutes on Thursday night, so would you be prepared by Thursday night, do you think?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody in agreement?
What about Thursday night?
So we have a meeting.
He has something he wants for an amendment.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Alrighty, so, may I have a motion to pass the 2015 year-ending budget?
Mayor, before we take a vote, if I might,
Sure.
first of all, I want to commend Tom on a very tough job, which was getting this budget together. I know it's your job, but nonetheless, you put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's not unrecognized. The only concern that I had was the issue that was raised by one of the speakers, which was the 120 Orange Avenue property. Right. My only concern would be, and I understand that regardless it will be sold, whether it's as part of that project or whether it's a separate sale, that if it becomes a separate sale, there's obviously no guarantee that it would take place this year. You just never know when you may get a purchaser ready to close, and that could take some time, and that could potentially put a hole in the budget that hopefully between now and next budget cycle certainly could be resolved. So that's really the only concern I have. But other than that, I think the budget project was put together very well, and I again commend Mr. Zordan on that. That's the only reservation I have, the only concern that I have with regard to the numbers.
Right, and Matt, that I kind of took a lot of thought into the putting it in the budget, not putting it in the budget, and Tom and I spoke at length for quite a few days. We met working on it, and I do believe that we will be able to have a buyer for that property. I'm very confident that we will have no problem selling that property.
I certainly hope so, and hope we're not in a position where we have to...
I think we'll be okay. I do believe that. That was the only thing, and as I said to the board, and I've said to the residents, I'm a very real numbers budgeting person. I don't believe in projected budgeting. That was the only thing I felt strongly about that should be included in our budget. That's not, 100%, maybe only 99%.
Yeah, and I recognize that in the other
But I
numbers
appreciate that.
for building permits and whatnot. I see that number's been tempered appropriately, and I think
Yes.
we've not made the mistakes that might have been made in the past with regard to some of those inflated numbers. So I recognize that, obviously, and so again, I just state it just for the record. It's not enough for me to
appreciate it.
oppose a budget. It's just a concern that I just wanted to relay.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second
What's the motion again?
to adopt the budget?
this budget.
Yes, I'll make the motion.
Motion by Joe, second by
I think I did.
Mr. Meehan. Mr. Hagen.
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan.
Yes.
Mr. Byrne.
Yes.
Mr. Meehan.
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried. Okay, we will start our regular meeting. We're a little early, correct, Virginia?
Yeah.
How early?
You scheduled it for 7, right?
It's only about 18 after 7.
Okay, so we'll do this one.
So,
You scheduled the meeting for
Yeah.
7 itself, right?
Okay, our regular meeting is scheduled to start at 7:30, but we have a very exciting celebration to have in the village of Suffern this evening. We have a very special guest and his family, so I would like to ask the entire board to come with me.
That's what the budget, what they want to do, what they wanted to do. Yeah, but they didn't set it up.
As you know, we have carried on a tradition of giving out an award in memory of one of our former trustees who has contributed so much to this village. And each time we give this out, we look for someone who has such a love of the village as he did, to be committed to the village, to make a difference in the village, and to live their life a proud Suffern resident. And we have a young man here tonight who I believe exemplifies all of those things. He is so much a part of the history of this village, not only in his age, his wisdom, but also with our museum here at the village of Suffern. So it is my distinct honor to present the Andrew C. Haggerty Outstanding Service Award to Gardner Watts.
Why don't you stay there? Stay there. Stay there.
Haggerty Award for you. The meeting will have a plaque out into the lobby area, and Nina has sent over a $50 gift certificate for you to go and have some dinner. Okay? Enjoy that. Enjoy that. Congratulations. Yeah. As I mentioned, Gardner, your wisdom in your age, I'd like to read you a proclamation that we are celebrating tonight in honor of you. Whereas Gardner Watts has devoted his life to preserving the historic resources of the Suffern area and in making local history a vibrant and exciting interest, and whereas Gardner F. Watts has been a village resident for more than half a century, and whereas Gardner F. Watts has served the community as a history teacher at Suffern High School from 1938 to 1974, making history an interesting and vibrant subject, and whereas Gardner F. Watts established the historic hikers in 1956 and actively conducted hikes in the Ramapo Mountains, educating thousands of people above the historic and natural resources of the area, and whereas Gardner F. Watts, along with his wife of many years, Josephine, was an instrumental in founding of the Suffern Village Museum in 1982, which museum bears their names, and whereas Gardner F. Watts has also served the residents of the village as village historian from 1958 to 2007, and whereas Gardner F. Watts remains an active in the Suffern Museum and other historic endeavors, and whereas Gardner F. Watts has previously been honored by the Rockland County Historic Society with its Living Landmark Award, and whereas Gardner F. Watts will attain the age of 100 this month. Therefore, I, Patricia Abato, Mayor, proclaim that Gardner F. Watts is the recipient of the Andrew C. Haggerty Award, Outstanding Village Employee Award, and issue this proclamation in grateful thanks and recognition of Gardner Watts for his outstanding years of service to the residents of the village of Suffern and the area. Gardner. Just so that you all know, Gardner is 100 years old. On April 3rd, he celebrated his 100th birthday. So I ask you all to share in celebrating with me to sing Happy Birthday to Gardner. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gardner. Happy birthday to you. Gardner, we have a birthday cake out over into the front for everyone to share with you, so I invite everyone to grab a piece of cake to celebrate 100 wonderful years. Gardner, we are so blessed and so honored to have you here in the village of Suffern.
I can help it. Full service card.
Coming through 3 flights.
Trish, Mayor, I just want to say I'm one of probably the only board member who had Gardner Watts as a history teacher at Suffern High. And I was talking to my wife, and I said to her, you know, he was one of the people who really got me interested in politics. And she said, well, go and talk to that SOB. But I'm going to tell you something else, Mr. Watts. It's very hard for me to call you by your first name. But while you were there at Suffern High School, and this is going to become something you've never known through all your 100 years, but during that time while you were at Suffern High School, some of the students referred to you as Sparky. Okay, so you probably never heard that before, but that's the case.
Anyone else? Okay. All right, Gardner, we hope you enjoy the rest of the evening with your family. Please, everyone, we have a few minutes before the board meeting starts. Help yourselves to some cake and celebrate with Gardner. Okay, we will begin our board meeting. First on the agenda will be the fire department.
Wait 1 second, Mayor. Hold on. Wait a second. I think I need ask them to take their cake out.
Okay, Chief Stark?
Good evening, Mayor and Board.
That's okay.
First item on the agenda this evening is request to host a fundraiser at the Suffern Volunteer Hose Company number 1. It's going to be a car show on July 20th with a rain date of the 27th.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Second item is also another fundraiser for the hose company, and that's the Kentucky Derby Day, and that's on May 3rd from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you. The next item is for the board to approve the 2013 Service Award Program, which you have all been provided a copy of.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried.
Thank you. And the last item is 2 new members for the Volunteer Hose Company. The first one is Michael Kahn. Michael's going to be a senior member over 18.
You want an agenda?
Yeah.
And the second member is Jake Tamburo, and Jake is under 18.
Okay, I don't think I could let this go by, Mike, without just letting everyone know. We are excited to have both of these young men a part of the fire department, but in particular, Jake Tamburo, who is the son of Vincent Tamburo, who was also a firefighter at the Volunteer Hose Company, and we lost Vinny way too young to health problems. So for me, it's a wonderful feeling to see his son going on to do things that Vinny really believed in, community and volunteering. So I'm very, very proud to have him as part of the fire department.
I believe Jake will be wearing Vinny's helmet, so
That's
it's
a
nice.
wonderful thing.
Did someone make a motion? I didn't hear it.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, Culture and Recreation, Kathy.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Village Board. Thank you for having me. So this evening, a few events that we have coming up in recreation and the village. Tomorrow, on Wednesday, April 9th, there will be the Downtown Committee meeting. At the first meeting, there was approximately 26 members that were there. We have a meeting on Wednesday, and it seems to be going very well. People have reached out to me and asked to be part of the meeting in addition to the ones that have come already. So that seems to be a very, very good start. We have a Recreation Board meeting this week on Thursday, April 10th, up in the community room. And on Saturday, I'm very excited about, we have flyers up here for anyone that would like to take them. We have the Easter egg hunt and breakfast with the Easter Bunny on Saturday, April 12th. It starts at 9 a.m. over at the gazebo. It will be outside with the egg hunt, and then inside the community center with the Easter with the Bunny, Easter breakfast with the Bunny. And then on Sunday, April 13th and April 27th, we have a class called Living with Your Dog, and it's going to be at Leo Leiden between 10 and 12. If anyone would like to learn more about living with your dog, we have a trainer that will be up there. The first session on April 13th will be without your dog, but you would come as an owner. And then the 27th, you would come with your dog and learn a little bit more about working with your dog. So please feel free to come to that April 13th up at the Leo Leiden building. On April 16th at Village Hall here, we have stress management class with representatives from Good Samaritan Hospital working with the Village Hall staff. On April 19th, we have a coin drive with the American Legion Post, and that will be outside by the gazebo at that traffic light between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And then a busy weekend, April 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th. There will be the Sacred Heart Festival over at the Sacred Heart parking lot. Parking will be over by the Avon lot those days. And then Arbor Day this year is Friday, April 25th. We're going to be doing some ceremonies here at Village Hall. We have Keep Rockland Beautiful. We're very excited about that this year. You'll see on Saturday, April 26th, you'll see a lot of scouts, a lot of troops, a lot of community groups going around the village and cleaning up. We've identified some locations with DPW, and they'll be cleaning up some areas in Suffern. So all are invited to attend to that. You can go on keeprocklandbeautiful.org to sign up and then come out and help Suffern that day. And then on that day also, there's going to be a farmer's market at the community center, so there'll be a lot of great community-minded events there for us. And then the last but not least, on Sunday, April 27th, there will be the Suffern Street Fair and Car Show. Okay?
Thanks, Kathy.
You're very welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Grant writer, Fred Rella.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. In 2002, we had a grant for the Suffern Memorial Pool surrounding area for a dock, a basketball court, and some swing set equipment. And the cost to do that upgrade was $90,000, and there was $1,500, which was still outstanding and owed us through the New York Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. So we put together the paperwork, and we should be receiving that check for $1,500 within the next couple of weeks. Assemblywoman Ellen Jaffe has given us, through a member item grant, $2,000 for a defibrillator, which will be used at the Memorial Pool. Currently, the village has just one defibrillator, which is over at the community center, and then during the summer months when the pool is open, that defibrillator is moved from the community center to the pool, and then, however, the community center doesn't have a defibrillator. So now we will have two in the appropriate location. So that's a very welcomed and much-needed grant. Also, Assemblywoman Ellen Jaffe met with the mayor, and she was very enthusiastic and hopeful that she might be able to secure some funding for us for the wastewater treatment plant, in particular for two projects. One was for the $1 million project, which was completed in December of this past year for the dewatering system, and then for the project which is going to begin in July of this year, which is $1.3 million, which is for the digestive system. So we're very hopeful. That's a total of $2.4 million. So that would be very welcomed as well. The mayor also met with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand's office. In particular, Sarah Reingold, who is the liaison within this corridor of the greater Hudson Valley area, and they were very enthusiastic about helping us with the railroad crossing grant. And then in my subsequent conversations with them, they were happy to hear that we had already applied for a grant opportunity for that project, which is approximately $220,000 through our hazard mitigation grant program through New York State. And we had also applied for 5 other grants. So the Senator's office has agreed that they're going to fully support us in writing a letter to FEMA saying that they support the Village Hazard Mitigation Program and the 6 grant opportunities that we have put forth. I also included in that letter, though, the Tanaramapo project for the $5 million for the siphoning system. And so that will be welcome too. So it's our 6 hazard mitigation projects plus the siphoning system that the U.S. Senator is going to be supporting through a letter. Lastly, the Community Development Block Grant, which is for the downtown revitalization of the building facades. We're looking for a final answer on the awards at the end of this month. Okay.
Thanks, Fred. Okay, Chief Osborne. He doesn't have anything.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Board. I just have a few things to vote on and just some informational items. Most of my items are related to long-term village safety and I'd say emergency planning. The first item to be voted on is the 2014 emergency operation plan. The only thing we changed was some names, some addresses, some different people in different positions. Mike and Charles and I put this together several years ago, and the plan's actually pretty good. We're very happy with the plan, and I just have to have you to vote on it to put it back in service and to make it official that we adopt it.
We should also mention, Clerk, that Clerk and I had the opportunity to meet with the mayor of Mahwah and his staff. And Clerk and our fire chief, they're putting together a meeting to work with Mahwah for an emergency plan for the West Ward until we get that approval for the grant money to have our emergency access across to the other side. Mahwah has agreed that we will work together in formulating an emergency plan should we lose access to that part of the village. So I'm very excited to have a joint venture with them and to have a plan in place so that both their services and our services are utilized for emergency situations in the West Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, that'll work out very well because they're in the same situation when the bridges get flooded out in the north and the south end of town. To get a fire truck or an ambulance over there is very difficult. So if we work with them to put set vehicles in place, police and fire will be in good shape. Thank you, Mayor. That was a good meeting.
Yes. So I need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. Secondly, we are going to receive $5,000 from the Rockland County District Attorney's Office for video and audio surveillance of suspects during interrogations. The DA's office will be providing us with that. We're going to especially equip one of our rooms for major cases or really any investigation that we deem necessary, and the DA's office, through a grant, is going to pay for that. We just have to vote to approve it. Virginia, it needs to be done through a resolution, just like the vehicle we received from them. So if we could vote on that, that would be a big help so we can receive the money for it.
Resolution number 4.
Okay, probably 5. 5. Okay, resolution number 5. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor, I abstain only because of my role outside the board as counsel to the District Attorney's Office on behalf of the County of Rockland, so
So
I abstain.
noted. Thanks, Matt. I vote yes. Motion is carried.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. And just a few things in regards to emergency planning. The last few days, we've set up an account through a company called Nixle. I know I spoke to Sam, Bruce, Trish, we've been talking about this. Nixle is a free notification system that is run through a company, and basically what it does is it enables us to contact our residents free of charge through texts and through emails. Over 4,600 law enforcement agencies and municipalities throughout the U.S. use this. A very easy setup. You basically register through your phone. I'll get the additional information. I've been on the phone with them for the last 3 days, and it's pretty much set up. I just had to fax to my police ID today a copy of it to confirm that we are a legitimate law enforcement agency before they would set us up. So we should be set up within the next day or so. Then we will go to the press, and we'll blast as much as we can through the village to let our residents know about this system for emergency notification, which is excellent. Mahwah uses it. Captain Blank, who I deal with and friendly with, explained the whole situation to me, and it'll be a win-win for Suffern. We don't have to pay anything for it.
And also, Clerk, can we make sure that when we have all the final details that we have it put up onto the website?
Absolutely.
Sign up and what the process is, so we can try to...
Absolutely. I will market this very strongly once I get the official approval. Hopefully tomorrow. I'll give you guys a heads up on how we're going to be marketing it. Second of all, everything about emergency planning tonight used to be called reverse 911. Reverse 911 is when we make notifications through the telephone to village residents. It is now called New York Alert. It is run by the state. I was certified 2 years ago by New York Alert to do these emergency notifications to either the whole village or to part of it. I can pick out certain streets or certain neighborhoods and an incident and blast it out. I'm going to go for some additional training tomorrow, and I spoke to the fire chief as well. We're going to hopefully get the fire department, somebody from there as well certified. Just in the event we have a major catastrophic incident in the village, we can blast these calls out right through here instead of making phone calls up to other people that could be busy and tied up. We'll be able to do it straight from our police department.
Now, would those phone calls, they're obviously going to cover the Verizon, would they also cover the people who have their phones through the cable company?
Mr. Meehan, I'm sorry, that's in regards to Nixle and New York Alert. I'm sorry. Which one was
Reverse
this?
911.
Oh, that'll go to everybody. Yeah, what happens with New York Alert, what I will do is, it's another process which we want to push. We'll go to every household, but people can also sign up to get additional notifications. Once I go tomorrow and get everything updated, I'll notify you on that as well, and how we can get additional information to our residents. So that's a win-win. And the last thing, I know I emailed the board last night, I spoke to the mayor about this, spoke to all the parties involved. One of the things that I've noticed in this position is when we get what I call nuisance problems or houses that have been continual, police problems, code problems, fire inspection problems, the whole gamut, is that sometimes there may be different agencies, police department may be handling things one way, code enforcement another way, fire inspector another way. I proposed, and it sounds like we're all on board with this, thanks to the board, and I spoke to the department heads involved. I'd like to establish what's called a nuisance abatement team, and basically what that is police department, building inspection, code enforcement, fire inspector, and public works. We've all spoke today. And what I'd like to do is establish this team that if we have a nuisance problems for the quality of life, to clean up a specific property for quality of life issues, as well as for public safety. If there's major code violations, like we had a fire down on Prairie Avenue, we went into the building, we thought we were one apartment, there was an illegal wall put up, we didn't even know where we were. These are the kinds of problems that need to be attacked by all fronts, police, fire, code, building, everybody involved. And I'd like to establish this nuisance abatement team with the mission to improve the quality of life for our residents and to resolve safety issues. And I'd like to establish this and probably meet next week. I spoke to everybody involved today, all the village departments, and they all thought it was a great idea that we, as a village, do something like this to protect all of us and to basically help our residents out.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if you need a vote. I just want to let you know what we were looking to do. I wasn't sure.
No, we don't need a vote, Chief, but I just want to let you know that, this board in particular has been very much against all of the safety code violations, and we are really working very, very hard to identify these areas and to get them cleaned up and up to code. So I thank you very much for, going the extra step to find something that will, more collaboratively coordinate all of the efforts, and I think that's going to be a great tool in getting this to move forward. So I wanted to just say thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, board, very much for your support. Really appreciate it.
Public hearing. Okay. It is 7:50, so we are going to have our public hearing for the special permit uses from the general use regulations for the PLI zone. Terry?
Thank you. Particularly with the announcement that Novartis would be leaving at some point in the future, it gave us the occasion to look at the uses that are allowed in that particular zoning district. And the zoning district is the Planned Light Industrial District, PLI, where, as the name implies, there are certain types of uses that the village hope to encourage in that particular district. And those uses primarily were intended, or exclusively were intended to be tax revenue producing uses. So when we took a look at the uses allowed in that zoning district, we realized that a number of the uses, either by their nature or were unlikely to be tax-paying entities, Those included schools of special instruction, public emergency facilities, both of which are uses permitted by right, and special permit uses consisting of private membership clubs, as well as excavation of mineral resources. That's kind of a different scenario. Mining was permitted in the PLI zoning district really as a non-conforming use because of the mine on the Tilcon property. That is no longer a viable use, so we're also taking that out as a permissible use. And the reason it primarily came to light is the fact that Novartis, by virtue of their assessment, pays approximately 10% of the village budget, as well as a significant amount of water and sewer fees. So in order to move forward with this, we had our planner, John Lang, look at the financial aspects, which obviously confirms that it represents 10% of our budget, as well as the fact that there are a significant number of exempt properties in the village, so that the possibility of that piece of property being utilized for permissible exempt use would cause a major financial impact on the village. In addition, he analyzed the other zones and found that the uses that we're proposing to eliminate from the PLI district can be located in other zoning districts, that there's a substantial amount of land that could be utilized for those uses as well, so that by excluding them from the PLI district, we're not excluding them from the village. John also prepared an environmental assessment form, as is required by the State Environmental Review Act. The local law and John's report and the EAF were sent to all the adjoining municipalities as required by our zoning law and by the village law. The notice of hearing was advertised in the Journal News on March 21st. And it was posted on the signboards. It was referred to the Rockland County Department of Planning as is required, and by letter dated April 7th, the Rockland County Department of Planning approved the proposed amendment, finding that the proposed zoning code amendment will have no adverse effect on any countywide interests, so they remanded it for local determination. It was also referred to the Village of Suffern Planning Board for their review and recommendation as is required by the zoning law, and by letter dated April 7th, they advised the Board of Trustees that at their meeting on March 19th, 2014, they recommended approval, unanimously recommended approval of the proposed amendment. So that's basically the scenario, what's being proposed and the rationale for it.
Okay, would anybody like to speak?
Jim Genatino. I would just like to say that I'm in full agreement with the zone change. I think it's a very good move, and I again ask you look at the hospital and Salvation Army. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Anyone else like to speak? Jeff?
Jeff Genser, 32 First Street, Suffern, New York. I think this is an appropriate time to comment about the Novartis property. I don't see anything wrong with this particular, omitting some of these uses, mining, et cetera, and adding whatever. My comment is basically, I found out that there are more than one specialized real estate companies. It's a worldwide company. I'll get all the information if you'd like, that specializes in the sale of pharmaceutical facilities worldwide. So I would ask the village not to grant a demolition permit, but to investigate the possibility of selling the property to another pharmaceutical concern.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm going to actually give you an update, and you're going to be very happy with it when it's time for me to give my report. I have a whole bit of information that will...
I didn't know if it was appropriate.
Yeah, no, we'll discuss that, and I do have an update for you on Novartis, which I think you'll be very pleased with. Okay, would anyone else like to speak with regards to the changes in the PLI zone? Okay, motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I need a motion to...
Not yet.
Okay, not yet.
Okay. It's a two-step process. First of all, we have to satisfy the State Environmental Quality Review Act. John has prepared a proposed negative declaration, meaning that the proposal would not have a significant impact on the environment and that no environmental impact statement need be prepared. The reason supporting the proposed negative declaration is that the primary reason for this change is to preserve these sites as fully taxable sites and uses. The significant loss of revenue from the departure of Novartis leaves the village with a 10% reduction in its income. To ensure maximum preservation of tax revenue, the non-taxable uses have been eliminated. All of the eliminated uses are permitted in other zones in Suffern. There is ample land available for these uses in other zones. The following summarizes available zones and acreages for the eliminated uses. Schools of special instruction are already permitted in the CB and GB zones as uses permitted by right. CB consisting of 29.3 acres and GB 31.2 acres comprise 60.5 acres of land in Suffern. Private membership clubs are permitted in the R15, R10, R7.5, and CB zones, hence the impacts to removing the use from the PLI zone would be minimal. The R15 zone covers 334.1 acres, the R10 zone covers 63.2 acres, the R7.5 zone covers 145.6 acres, the GB zone covers 31.2 acres. Quarry uses have been eliminated as the quarry has been closed. There's no physical change to the amount of land, only the zoning designation is expected that water consumption would remain essentially unchanged. It's expected that sewer generation would remain essentially unchanged. It's expected that stormwater runoff would be reduced slightly as new developments will have to conform to the zero net runoff requirements and stormwater management regulations. Traffic and circulation will be reduced with the loss of Novartis if a suitable new uses recruited traffic and circulation should remain approximately the same. So you need a motion to adopt that?
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt that?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call? You don't have it. No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so moved.
So now you can act on a local law.
Okay, now local law number 6?
No, local law number 5.
5, okay.
Local law number 5.
So moved on local law number 5.
Second?
Okay, Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried.
Done.
Okay, next up on our agenda is the audience participation, but before I do that, I just wanted to make a couple of comments about the Orange Avenue project. As you all can see, we did not put them on the agenda for this evening. We're going to continue that public hearing. Reason being is on Thursday night, the developers gave a proposal for a new pilot agreement. So what we would like to do is on Thursday evening at 7 o'clock, we will be having a public informational meeting where the developer will be here to explain the pilot to you, and it will give you, the residents, a chance for comments on the new proposed pilot. The information on the pilot will be put onto the website first thing in the morning, so you may review it and prepare your comments or concerns for Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. So we will be discussing that pilot program on Thursday. I hope you will all come out. Yes, here at Village Hall. Correct. Yes, and here at Village Hall. So before we started the audience participation, if we were going to have any questions about the pilot, I ask you to reserve them for Thursday night so that we may all, discuss it together. Okay, audience participation. would like to speak, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address.
Just 1 minute.
And in just 1 minute, we have to change tapes. Anything. Anything. Well, I would ask that you reserve your comments for Thursday night, since that will be the topic of conversation, and that will be when we will have questions, answers. It will be from 7 to 8 on Thursday night. Okay? Okay. Anyone like to speak? Go ahead, Jeff.
Wait, but is Virginia ready?
Yeah, we're rolling.
I've been talking to numerous people in the village regarding a number of things. Pilot's one of them, but I'm not going to talk about that. I have a question regarding what's called Black Bridge over in the West Ward, which leads from New York to New Jersey. It's a bridge that's been out of use for I don't know how many years. It's kind of an historical bridge, but not been used at least 40 years, I would guess. Anyway, I was at the planning board meeting in Mahwah when the planning board voted to give the green light for the Crossroads Mall. And at that meeting, the attorney representing the developer talked about that bridge. And I'm pretty darn sure, 99.5% sure, that he said that bridge was going to be taken down at the developer's cost. They were going to pay for it, have it removed. People were concerned that that bridge would be used for entry and exit to the mall from another entry and exit for the mall. Maybe it would be expanded to take that one down, build a new bridge. They said they were going to knock that bridge down. I had mixed emotions because I think the bridge is an interesting piece of engineering, but on the other side of the coin, I wouldn't want to see a connection for people to be able to either drive or even walk across into that mall property.
I thought we said they could.
So I'd like to find out if the rumor is true, if they're going to keep that bridge, and did they pay Suffern some money to fix that bridge? And
They didn't give us money.
I'd like to just comment on the relationship between the village of Suffern and the town of Mahwah. I don't think that the village should just blanket feel like they're great guys and we should trust them on any level whatsoever. The mall is a negative impact on Suffern on so many levels, and they didn't take that into consideration at all. And it's interesting, the person who made, I think, perhaps the deciding vote, the mayor of Mahwah put himself on the planning board, and he gave that vote and allowed that thing to pass when all the EMTs voted no, because the only reason they could vote no and not get sued by the developer was because of safety issues. It's a disaster in the making to think that there's one entry and exit, and that's right past the gas station on 17. We all know that spot leading into Sheraton Crossroads. The developer has an opportunity to buy the suburban propane property. It's for sale. They're not interested. They don't want to make a safer entry and exit. And the EMTs that are on that board voted no, and the mayor voted yes. So I question his feeling for not only his own people, but anybody who lives in the village of Suffern as well. So, those are the issues that I think I could mention now at this general hearing. I'd like to talk about the pilot, which is payment in lieu of taxes, in case anybody doesn't know what that means. I don't like these acronyms. So could you tell me, what's happening with Black Bridge?
Yeah, I wanted you to be able to make all your comments. Yes, the bridge actually was part of an agreement that we had with Mahwah that they would not take the bridge down. So that is in their agreement with us, is that they are not to take that bridge down.
Did that happen after they approved?
Part of the agreement.
the
I'm sorry?
mall? Did that agreement with Suffern occur after that planning board meeting when they voted to pass the Crossroads
I don't
Mall?
believe so, but I don't know exactly which meeting you're talking about, but they will be reminded very quickly, because that was part of the agreement that they made with us, is that bridge was not to come down.
And it also wouldn't be a use for them
Use,
to go
right.
in and out of through
Right, there
there.
would be-
It is a non-used bridge.
Right, but it is to remain there.
But they are not to take it down because of the historical value that it had.
Correct.
For that engineering history, right?
Well, this, just what we
Yeah, the
had
historical,
So-
yeah, right.
Is it to be left in the same condition that it's in now?
I believe so.
I believe it will be left in the same condition. It is not to be used.
Because you
for-
couldn't drive a fire truck across that, even if you
Right.
repaired it, it's not wide
Right.
enough.
Well, it would be a closed bridge, just to keep it there. I mean, I would assume that at some level, if we looked into it, there's probably some historical preservation that that may be out there for some grant money or something. But the agreement that we made with them, and they agreed to, was that the bridge was to stay there but not be used.
Because I was at the meeting with about 300 other people,
I'll check on
and
it.
I believe it was in February. I'm pretty sure that's when they had that meeting. And it was an issue that was discussed, and
Okay, I'll check on it tomorrow.
they
Jeff.
were assuring people that that bridge was going to be taken down at the developer's expense.
Okay, I'll look into it tomorrow. Thank you.
Good evening, Phyllis Kazin, 192 Parkside. I'm concerned about the memorial pool, which hopefully will be opening this season. The problem last year is we were losing water, and the story was there was a correction from the storm the previous, when the pool had closed earlier, not from Sandy, but the storm before that. And every day we'd come in, the water was colder because they had to add water to it. And it got to the point that the end of July into August, hardly anybody was at the pool anymore because water was too cold to use. So I'm wondering whether anything has been done to find out what the problem is and whether it's going to be corrected.
Yeah, I believe it is being addressed, Phyllis. I don't know if the work has been completed as of yet, but I know that we are aware that there is a problem, and we've identified, I believe, the problem, Charles? The problem with the pool has been identified, correct?
Not fully, no.
Okay.
We actually were just talking about that last week, and we'd like to bring another contractor in we believe it possibly might be a piping issue.
Okay.
We need a specialty contractor to evaluate that.
Okay, but Phyllis, we are working on it.
Thank you. And someone was supposed to come, but she couldn't make it today. I'll ask her a question. Do you know if the soup kitchen run by the church got their money from the town of Ramapo?
Yes, I met with Supervisor St. Lawrence. It was actually an error on the part of the auditors. They were not doing any new funding. They thought the soup kitchen was new funding. I guess it's new auditors, and they took it out. It has been put back in. I believe they've already received $800 of that money from the Wizard of Oz movie, the money that was raised at that event was turned over to the soup kitchen until, to kind of hold them over until they had corrected the mistake in the budget.
So they're going to be getting
They
back
will be getting their full $2,000.
their full amount of money?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joe Varano, 10 West Maple Avenue, Suffern, New York. I believe in the village over 55. I moved in March 1957 in the village. And when I came over here, I found something got wrong. People get paid off, building inspectors, and I was interested to see what's going on. I attend every single meeting with Jimmy Raj all the way down. So, this I'm gonna go back 40 years back now. One meeting, somebody get up, he wants to, for the water. Last the meeting was a guy, said, why don't sell the water? And down Grosso, that dome is SB, that guy haven't got no brains. The day born, it could be pencil and paper, but he got no brains at all. He get up and said, the village, and if they go from business, and they kill that thing right away. Philip Forgenga was a trustee. And then they come up with the hospital don't pay no water. Everybody else in the village that started, they don't pay no water. And Philip Forgenga says, at least to get some water from the people who don't pay no water. I don't know if they still pay the water or not. I didn't go through. But for Dan Grasso, he killed that thing. If they say what go through, nobody will pay village tax today. Nobody. Because the village said enough they go in business. And they kill it right away. Bingo. And nobody said boo. Now I'm going to go 40 years back. I attend every single meeting, rain and shine and cold, all over to Parnas. I was with every mayor this way. I used to tell every mayor what's going on, everything, but nobody listened to me. Nobody.
I'm listening.
I hope so.
I am.
You know, Parnas, they're going to appoint that guy over there. I beg him. You know how many times I said, don't appoint the guy. Don't. This is no good. They're stealing. I know that guy was stealing. Oh, but Dan Grossi recommended him. Hey, go ahead. Hire. That guy will make a fortune down there. I see with my eyes what's going on. The same thing with that when the last year I make for the water over there, right? That guy have a business over there for years. And the village time go and cut the wood, they split and they sell it.
Well, we're definitely looking into selling the water.
What I do? They complain twice. What happened?
Yeah.
Nothing happened. I know what's going on in the village. I could make a book.
You should.
And nothing happened.
You should.
I mean, I'm not kidding. I could make a book. I know what's going on.
Out of control.
All right, thank you.
Just to remind what happened with the water now, you know.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Fabulous.
Anyone else? Okay, we will move along then. Department of Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor and the Board. I am requesting authorization for Mr. Dirk DeZango to attend the activated sludge course to be held at SUNY Ulster, New Paltz, New York. This course will be offered from May 15th, 2014 through June 17th, 2014 at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. The cost is $525 and will be reimbursed upon the presentation of a passing grade. This course is a prerequisite for the New York State DEC wastewater operator's license.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion is carried.
I am requesting authorization for Mr. Nicholas Fabritori to attend the motor control circuits and wiring troubleshooting course to be held in Rutgers, New Brunswick, New Jersey. This course is being offered from May 14th through May 16th, 2014 at a cost of $490 and has been approved for 18 continuing education credits as required by the New York State DEC.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Meehan?
Yes. Mrs. Who?
Corrigan.
Whoa, hey, let's not start any rumors on this board.
Mr. Meehan?
Hello.
I'm a one-woman man married to a one-man woman.
Corrigan.
I got the Meegan and Meehan, and I was going right on.
Okay.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion's carried.
I am requesting payment authorization for application of payment number 3 for the demolition of residential housing project. This payment will be made to PAR Environmental Corporation in the amount of $18,975.
So move it.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion is carried.
I am requesting authorization to approve change order number 1 for the wastewater treatment plant digester upgrade project. This change order will not revise the contract amount. This change order is a mutual agreement to modify and recharacterize the unit and lump sum cost. As a result of these modifications, the village will realize cost savings and the contractor will expedite associated work activities.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion is carried.
I am requesting authorization to schedule a public hearing for the MS4 annual report. I'd like to do that next month, if I could, please.
Just could you explain what that is?
That is the municipal separate sanitary sewer system. So it's
We're
where to get the MS4.
Right.
And it's a program, a federally adopted program that's regulated through the New York State DEC, and it's essentially addresses stormwater.
And we're required to have a public hearing on it.
Yep.
Right.
Is a report provided by you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'll have it on the website most likely next week.
So move.
Second.
What's that a date?
Yeah.
May 5 and what?
May 5,
May 5th.
May what?
7:40?
7:40.
Thank you.
Who made the motion?
Nat did, and it's seconded by Joe.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
I am requesting the mayor to appoint Mr. Daniel Horton to the Automotive Mechanic 1 position. The rate of pay will be $24.77 per hour. The effective start date would be April 8th, 2014. This is a vacant, currently a vacant position.
Yeah, this position comes from Joe Hunt's position as a mechanic. When he moved up to the supervisory position, that left a mechanic's position open, so currently we do not. Right, it left a mechanic's, I didn't give the mechanic, yeah, right. Left a mechanic's position open, so, yes, I appoint Daniel Horton, and I need a motion to confirm.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
I have one additional item I'd like to add to the agenda. I'm requesting authorization to accept the lowest cost proposal for the line shaft turbine pump replacement, a new concrete foundation to extend the well casing, and discharge piping modifications for well number 1 at the water treatment facility. This proposal is from William Stodoff Company, Inc., Flemington, New Jersey, in the amount of $34,260. The cost of this project will be charged to the well number 1 pump modification capital project.
So moved.
Second.
Tom, you have this, right? These numbers?
There's
For that, right?
there's $43,500.
Right, I just wanted to make it clear, there's plenty of money left in there
Right.
for this project, so, who made the motion?
I did.
Okay, seconded by
Frank.
Oh, Frank or me, whatever. We said it at the same time.
Mr. Hagen,
What? Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan,
Yes.
Mr. Meehan.
Yes.
Mr. Byrne.
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried.
That's it, thank you.
Thank you so much, Charles. Okay, Virginia, you're up.
Okay. We have approval of previous board member meetings. November the 12th, 2013, November the 15th, 2013, and November the 19th, 2013.
We have 3 members of the board that can...
Yeah, there's only 3 of us that can
So
vote on
moved.
that.
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Well, then, now we have the approval of the board meetings up. Organization meeting, December the 2nd, 2013. Do you want me to go through them all?
Yes, please.
Okay. Special meeting, January the 9th, 2013. I forgot the regular board meeting of December the 2nd. Regular board meeting of July the 13th.
January.
January 13th. Regular meeting of February the 4th, 2014. Special meeting, February the 26th, 2014. And we have a regular meeting of March the 5th, 2014.
Right up to date.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you. I have a couple of other items. We have Marcella, who's requesting for the live music permit.
I understand there's some discussion on this.
Yes, I actually spoke with Chief Osborne today. Many times. Marcello's is not adhering to the parking that we made arrangements with him for. I have personally gone in there and asked that they adhere to the rules that we had, and they kind of discarded me, and I know Chief said he had gone over there, but that he felt that he and his staff will get over there again and tell them that they must adhere to what we agreed to with the parking. So hopefully that actually happens, and he's having the music anyway, so.
Just the valet parking.
Yeah.
I sent them applications and they never sent them back.
So they haven't set their applications in for valet parking? Okay.
They haven't?
Chief?
No.
Sorry, excuse me, I'm so sorry, Chief. We have a problem that Marcello's is not only violating the valet parking policy. Okay, I myself have spoke to his staff as well, and they're really not, they're not adhering. But Virginia has just told me that she sent out the new application for it and he's not returned it. So therefore, he cannot have valet parking until he's completed all of his applications.
We actually notified the family, sent calls down there, so just whatever you want to do is good.
Okay. In lieu of that, until he becomes compliant with the valet parking, I'd like to suggest that we hold over the request for the live music permit.
Okay, doesn't that go to the planning board
No.
No.
for approval? No, okay.
Only new ones.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Whatever the board's pleasure is.
I say we put it on for next month and see where we go from here.
Well, we also, maybe this can be resolved and we could put it on for Thursday. You don't want to hold them up for a whole month.
No, I say we wait until next month.
Okay.
Well, Mayor, is Thursday an informational meeting or an actual board meeting?
It's actually an informational meeting.
It's a special board meeting, that's the only item on it.
Well, I think every time we get together at the board meeting.
What item is on it?
Just that.
Yeah, it's a public informational one.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I would need a motion and a second.
Motion to hold it over 1 month.
Motion made by Joe to hold over.
Second it.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, I vote yes, so moved.
We have one other item, Mayor. All Souls Community Church requests, they want handicapped parking spots. They do want 4, and we thought we would refer it to the planning board.
Yes, please do.
Make a motion?
Yeah, sure.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tom? Nothing? Okay. That's right, I forgot. Okay, Temple Lane Park.
Yes, very exciting. Asking the board tonight to award a contract for the Temple Lane Toddler Park. The equipment has been picked, and it's game time equipment. We went through quite a few different places, and working with a couple of the residents that have children in that area, they chose the Game Time company for $15,800. The residential grade fence, which will be fancy in the front, and then stockade along both sides and back, so it's completely enclosed. And Joe, do you remember the fence name company? Yes. Anchor. You were right. Terry was right. Oh, no, I was right. You said I said anchor. Okay. The mulch will be $1,120. The installation will be $3,500. This comes way under budget. We did leave approximately $1,800 to $2,000. Should anything pop up that is crazy. And if it's not, then perhaps we can put it towards another park when we're all done with this. And we're hoping to have this all completed, depending on delivery, by Memorial Day weekend. There or on abouts.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Very excited.
Yay, finally. And once the weather breaks, it will go a lot faster.
Yes. Okay, I just have a few things
Mayor,
to talk about.
I just want to say one thing.
Sure, absolutely. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
I wanted to address this to the fire department, to the Chief Stark. I don't know if he's here.
He's gone.
Tell him thank you for going ahead with trying to sell the fire truck. I saw a letter of intent from a company that's willing to give him, I think it said $45,000 if he signs the agreement.
Well, actually, let me explain a little further, Frank. What it is they've identified a marketing company, and this marketing company has offered to market the fire truck free of charge. We don't pay any fee to them.
Right.
The fee would be paid to them through the buyer. They came and looked at the truck and feel we can get upwards of $45,000 for the fire truck. Terry is looking into all of the details of this proposal to make sure that we have, that this is all legitimate. And at that time, once we have all the information and we know that Terry's comfortable with the agreement with them, at that time we can talk about it. What I had the most, I guess my biggest concern was that you don't sign an agreement with them, and that concerned me. They don't want you to sign anything, and they don't sign anything. So that was a huge concern for me. I didn't like that, so Terry's looking into it, and we'll talk about it further once we get through that process.
I was just glad that they're at least looking into it.
They are. They're working very hard.
Reversing some
Yes, absolutely.
Mayor, if that does realize a payment in an amount similar to that, can that money be earmarked to reduce the financing costs of the new truck
Oh,
directly?
definitely. 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
I just wasn't sure with the timing of it, if that would lend itself to...
Definitely.
Thank you.
There's no early payment penalty on the fire truck, so.
Something very exciting, the Village of Suffern has been named a Tree City USA. So, I don't know, Charles, do you want to just explain to how we're progressing on that and what we have planned for it? I want to thank Bruce Simon on the tree committee, who has done numerous amount of hours of work, shoveling, digging, planting trees, carrying them on his shoulder, lugging them. We really appreciate all your time, Bruce.
Actually, we just set up a time for this Thursday for myself, Fred Rella, and Bruce Simon to meet, and we want to establish what we are, finalize our plans for Arbor Day, which is this coming month. As part of the Tree City USA, the mayor has finalized an application for various residents that would like to have a tree planted in their front yard, and that will be on the website shortly. We do have plans for the remainder of this year, between this spring and the fall, to plant approximately 80 trees. So we're very excited about it. We do have a number of people that have expressed an interest, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more as well.
Thank you very much. I wanted to give you an update on Novartis. Deputy Mayor and I met with a collaborative of individuals. We are pleased to tell you that there are several corporate interests in the property, one of them being an Italian-based food manufacturing company who would probably raise the water usage quite high, looking to use more of the property, very excited about this possibility. We also have pharmaceutical companies looking into the property. It is being, the realtor for the property is Cushman and Wakefield.
Never heard of them.
Who are they?
And they are
I had the opportunity to speak with someone who has been put as our liaison between the realty company and ourselves. He is very, very optimistic about this property. There's been a lot of interest in the property, and we, as a village, as well as our surrounding villages that are, have interest in the property as well, the town, are all meeting regularly to assure that this property stays on our tax rolls and that the village of Suffern does not lose any water or sewer revenue from the project. So I think we're going to have a very positive outcome for this. Novartis has been wonderful in working to preserve that for us. They have no immediate plans whatsoever to demolish anything on the property. That would be the absolute last phase, would be to demolish this properties, and they don't even believe that that will be something that they will be doing. They believe in phase one, which is getting interest in the property and selling the property, will be where it will end for Novartis. So very excited about that. All good news. Mike Del Tullo, thank you so much, because he has, Rockland Economic Development has been working with the state economic development to market the property on their websites, been pushing very hard for corporate interest. So I think we're going to have good news at the end of the day. I also wanted to let you know that we have decided that the first and second Saturdays of May, we will be having the river cleanups along Lonigan Drive portion of the river, as well as upstream. We've added a new portion of the river onto the cleanup. We will be working together with our police, fire department, and volunteers. The good news is that the weekend before we do our cleanup, Mawa will be doing their cleanup. So all of our efforts will work wonderfully when we open up our section and get us all cleaned out. Their section will already be cleaned out, so we'll have a free flow down the river. So anyone who wishes to volunteer, please watch the website. We will be posting the details up on the website. And we hope that we get as many volunteers as possible. And I want to thank the chief and Chief Stark for all of their help with getting the cleanup done. And Charles, and your men. Thank you very much. And I have to also tell you that a lot of the DPW personnel volunteer their time to come down to help with the river, and I think that says a lot about our employees caring about this village. Just a quick update on the downtown revitalization task force. We're probably up to between 25 and 30 members. We had a lot of professionals on the task force, planners, architects, marketing people. It's a great collaborative, very excited. It grows each time we meet. So we are already beginning the process of identifying what it is in the downtown area that needs addressing, and then the hard task will be obviously bringing forward those ideas to help the downtown. I'm excited to tell you that we have begun a little revitalization project, which I'm very happy about, and I think you all will be too. We are kind of sprucing up the Virginia Menschner gazebo park within the next 3 to 5 days. Well, actually not even, because by the Easter egg hunt you will see a great difference in the park, and I think you will all be very pleased with what we've chosen to spruce it up a little bit.
Mayor,
Yes.
on that, I noticed I walked over the other night to the military bridge, and I noticed the tire marks on those. Are we going to get rid of those somehow?
On what?
On the gazebo, next to the gazebo, there's it looks like someone
Yes.
went in there with a backhoe.
They did go in with the backhoe, yes. They had to, because if you didn't notice, is that all of the shrubs that were around the gazebo
Yeah.
are now gone.
Okay.
Most of them were diseased and dying off.
Oh, I see.
They weren't uniform anymore. We had gaping holes in the middle.
Okay.
So we actually decided to pull them out, and we are going to plant flowers around the entire gazebo. So it'll look
Okay.
really very nice. And then the concrete along the gazebo will also be painted. So it's going to look really beautiful, and I like it because I think those shrubs kind of covered the gazebo, and there was no visual throughout the whole gazebo, and we had some problems with vandalism. I think this is a good way of keeping it open, and, you'd be able to see through it, that we could put our benches back in there. So that's what we're trying to do now. So we picked out some really nice colors. I think that you'll all be very pleased with the outcome of it. So Joe Hunt and his staff are going to be working to have it done by the Easter egg hunt. So the Easter Bunny will have a pretty new little gazebo to hang out in. Last but not least, we have a resolution. Terry?
Yep.
Do you want the resolution?
Yeah, if you can find it quicker than I can.
Here it is.
Thank you. This relates to trying to get some corrective legislation with respect to a state statute known as the Rockland County Police Act, so that the village would be able to enter into a contract with the Village of Airmont to provide police services, and so that they would be assured that they would not have to pay property taxes based on the police portion of their town tax. So the resolution basically says, whereas the Village of Suffern maintains its own police department and has done so since 1896, and whereas the residents of the Village of Suffern do not pay real property taxes to the town of Ramapo for police services, and whereas the Village of Airmont does not maintain its own police department and presently receives such services from the town of Ramapo, and whereas the Village of Airmont is interested in contracting with the Village of Suffern for the provision of police services and to discontinue paying real property taxes to the town of Ramapo for such services, whereas the Village of Airmont abuts the Village of Suffern, and whereas the Village of Suffern is interested in entering into a joint municipal agreement depending on the terms and conditions thereof with the Village of Suffern to provide such services to the Village of Airmont, and whereas such an agreement would be mutually beneficial to the residents of the Village of Suffern and the Village of Airmont, and whereas, as it presently exists, Section 1A of the Rockland County Police Act provides that the compensation of such policemen shall be a town charge, except that the town board may enter into an agreement with any village within it which maintains a police department of 4 or more policemen on an annual full-time basis, and determine what part of the cost of the police department shall be assessed against the property in the village, and what part shall be assessed to the property in the town outside the village. Getting there. And whereas the foregoing provision prevents the Village of Suffern and Airmont from entering into a joint municipal agreement, and whereas in order to effectuate such a joint municipal agreement, Section 1 of the Rockland County Police Act is required to be amended as set forth below to provide that the residents of any such municipality would not be subject to real property taxation from the town for police services, and whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Suffern desires to initiate the process for the enactment of legislation amending the Rockland County Police Act in order to effectuate such agreement. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Suffern that they hereby request that the offices of Senator Carlucci and Assemblywoman Jaffe cause to be prepared the appropriate legislation to amend Section 1A of the Rockland County Police Act to provide as follows. No assessment on property in a village within the town can be made for the maintenance or operation of a town police department if the village maintains a police department of 4 or more policemen on an annual full-time basis. Village is also deemed to maintain a police department of 4 or more policemen on an annual basis if it contracts with another municipality that maintains a police department of 4 or more policemen on an annual full-time basis for the provision of such police services. So what this resolution does is it asks the state legislature to cause a bill to be prepared that would make that amendment. Once that's done, the bill numbers will be provided to the village, and we'll be able to pass a home rule amendment request, and then the state legislature can act on the legislation. So this is the first step in the process.
And just to clarify, This is not a commitment at this point, obviously, to enter into an agreement with the Village of
Nothing.
No,
Airmont.
all it is, it's asking for an amendment to the state legislation that would enable this type of deal to go forward if both municipalities, both Board of Trustees agreed so that they would not be subject to taxation. The problem is if you didn't have this legislation, we could come to an agreement, but then it wouldn't make sense to Airmont because then they may be subject to taxation in
They'd be paying
addition
both.
to the contract.
Right. Yeah, I just want to make sure that people out there understood
Yes.
this is only a very
Just
first
a
step.
very, very preliminary step. We don't know. It depends on how long this takes.
Well, hopefully Airmont will be passing something in the near future too, so that the Assembly can
forward.
write the bills, and then if we're fortunate at the next Village Board meeting, we might be in a position to pass a home rule amendment, and conceivably it could be done before they go out of session this year.
We hope.
So moved resolution.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have to say?
Okay, Mr. Hagen?
Yes.
Mrs. Corrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried. Okay, that's all I have. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I
Second.
thought we were going second session.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
I take mine back.
Yes. We have to, we need a motion to go into executive session.
I motion to go
personnel.
To
into...
discuss personnel.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Mayor, may I discuss the problem of having with street department? It's an ongoing conflict for 3 years. Last summer, Mark Rockland put the stakes in to identify gas line in front of me. I had to wait at the foot of my driveway every time we get a median driveway. The other day, the mailman couldn't get up the street. Now, I notified the street department, I spoke to your officer, and I'm not getting any response. 3 years.
Okay, Harris, I want you to give Virginia your telephone number, where I can reach you tomorrow. Okay, you have Harris. Okay, I'm gonna give you, I know you are. I will give you a call tomorrow, we'll get it worked out. Well, I want to hear from you exactly where and what we're talking about, and make sure that...
You want Woodland? Woodland?
You don't want this on tape.
Well, we're in the midst of determining how we're going to approach that. We first looked at it last October or so, and... No, it's been going on for over 3 years. Well, I can only speak for, say, the last year or so, that I'm aware of it, that we looked at it a little bit more closely. We will, Joe Hunt has looked at it again, and we will make some changes there so that what you have in place now is not appropriate. It didn't hold up, obviously. We want to make those changes that would be a permanent fix for it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll be on it.